We're broadcasting from Chicago, which is home to the highest concentration of Palestinian Americans in the United States. In the suburbs of the city, residents of the Bridgeview, known as Little Palestine, have been hard hit by Israel's war on Gaza, which has killed over 40,200 Palestinians, including thousands of children since October, though the true toll is likely much higher.
Democracy Now!'s Maria Teresina and Hannah Elias visited Little Palestine this week to get a tour of the neighborhood.
So right now we're driving into the southwest suburbs of Chicago. So this consists of Bridgeview, Little Palestine, it's called Little Palestine. And just like the other southwest suburbs that are surrounding it, there's a huge Arab populations there, huge Muslim populations. I think this community really started being established in the late 80s, 90s. And there's a huge diasporic people here of Palestinians, and we've been so ingrained in the community here. A lot of people here are directly affected by what's happening in Gaza and what's happening in Palestine. In regards to the occupation and in regards to state violence from the U.S., there was a lot of FBI surveillance in the late 90s and especially after 9/11 on community leaders here and on the mosques here in the community that actually traumatized a lot of families in the neighborhoods. And after October 7th, definitely we've seen hate crimes and we've seen a lot of violence, but I think our numbers are so strong and we're so powerful, and the fact that we are so big and so present in this city is just a huge testament to our power, our cause, and how strong we are as Palestinians, and also just as just a community that's very unified here in Chicago.
Which business are we standing in front of?
Right now we're in front of Al Basha Sweets. They are Palestinian owned.
Hello, how are you?
My
name is Razan, and I'm the cashier and manager at Al Basha Sweets. Here we have donations for Gaza. Anyone who wants to donate to Gaza can take a free sweet, then donate. And then the donation goes to a company that sends the money to Gaza. We try to help in whatever way we can, in a simple way. We will try what we can, and these stickers too. The payment goes to Gaza.
So we're in Little Palestine. Where are you taking us right now?
So right now we're going to one of the biggest coffee houses here in the neighborhood, in the area. It's Palestinian owned. They opened up a few months ago, but they've actually been really, really successful.
My name is Wasif Ibrahim. It's a place for people in the community to come together. We basically started on this project after October 7th.
Why is it so important to support a Palestinian-owned business during a time where pro-Palestinian voices, Palestinian rights voices have faced so much backlash?
So when all this happened, we kind of seen where these corporations took their stance, and we believed that we needed alternatives where we could support ourselves, not only in the sense that from a business perspective, but also being there for each other, for one another at such a crucial time. Being in Little Palestine, we need that support system to support one another, because you see our politics and our government doesn't really do a good job of supporting us, so we have to be there for one another.
Where is your family from, and how many generations does it go back?
I'm first generation, so my family is from Burka, Naples. So my parents' generation were born in Kuwait, and then for me and my siblings, we were all born here in Chicago. Enjoy.
Originally, Little Palestine was on the south side of Chicago in the inner city, and they actually used to call it Al-Mukhayyam, which means refugee camp. And so many Palestinians started to come here after the '67 war. Some were displaced in '48, and then they got displaced again in '67, very similar to my family's experience.
You've been a community organizer for at least 15 years. Could you talk about what inspired you to get involved?
The issue issues that the Palestinian community has been having has been over 76 years. You know, I actually come from an activist family. When my grandfather came to this country, he wanted a community center, and he actually was one of the founders of the first ever Arab American Community Center. So I kind of have it in my family, and so, you know, I would also say Obama's failed promises motivated me to go into community organizing.
How does the rhetoric coming out of the Biden administration in regards to its support of Israel, in regards to Gaza, also the way that Biden officials have described pro-Palestinian protests, a lot of them led by students on college campuses, as anti-Semitic, another demonizing language, how has this rhetoric translated into violent attacks and targeting of Palestinian community members, including here in Illinois, outside of Chicago?
After October 7th, he enacted anti-Arab racism and Islamophobia. It manifested. People took him seriously. Like you just pointed out, Wadia Al-Fayoum, a 6-year-old boy whose landlord knew him, went to his apartment and stabbed him 28 times because he thought this kid was going to grow up to be a terrorist. We have the 3 students in Vermont who were shot for wearing their kuffiyas. And Biden gave his sympathies, but it's empty. It's really, really empty. How can you give your sympathies when you're the one who started the fire of this racist rhetoric?
My name is Deanna Uthman. I'm from Little Palestine in Oak Lawn in Bridgeview, Illinois. I am a teacher at a local Islamic school, and I'm also a board member of American Muslims for Palestine Chicago. Many of our students were heavily impacted by October 7th and onward. Many of them regularly visit the West Bank, so they're familiar with the ravages of the occupation. They've seen armed soldiers as they've crossed checkpoints with their families. They've had family members killed. We have students who are from Gaza who have had family missing, family killed. Some of them have lived there in the past, so they've had friends killed, people they've gone to school with. Myself, my husband's family is in Gaza, and I visited there last summer in June and July of 2023. So with my own children, it's been difficult sort of processing it with them because their immediate, like their grandmother is there, their uncle, their aunts, their cousins, and people that some of them they just met for the first time last summer, and now they're worried about losing them. And many of the places where they made memories that summer, lifelong memories, no longer exist anymore. So it's been tough, especially with the younger children, because they can't quite grasp why this would happen, why any government would allow this to happen. And it's difficult to explain why our government, the place that we live, is funding this genocide. So, you know, we've had to process this in many different ways as a community, whether it's through counseling with students in our schools, whether it's through more educational outreach in the greater community, or even just, you know, psychological trauma processing for people who have, you know, experienced major loss.
Some of the voices from Little Palestine. Afterwards, many of them boarded a bus to take part in a march on the Democratic National Convention. Again, Chicago has the largest concentration of Palestinian Americans in the United States.